Hi, it's been a while since we presented the JDisc Discovery API, but things are constantly evolving, so there is a new API called the Upload API. And today we would like to look into what interesting practical use cases we can do with that new API.
Welcome to the JDisc YouTube channel.
So remember that the JDisc Discovery API is based on GraphQL and it's implemented by a web service which sits on top of the Discovery server. So the main API that we were using was a query API. So we send in a GraphQL query and we get data back. But also remember that initially we had to do a login, and that login was a mutation. So a change operation, not a query. Now the Upload API really is an additional mutation that you can call via the API. So it's just another API endpoint, so to speak, that we can use in order to import something into JDisc Discovery via the GraphQL API. So using the import manager mutation, we send in data and we get back an error or warning or a success, otherwise of course. Now currently you can upload basically devices. Other objects of the JDisc object model will follow, such as application instance, applications, etc. Now what kind of devices could we upload? I mean, JDisc Discovery is discovering nearly everything, isn't it? Well, there might be some exceptions. Now think about a mobile phone. There's a special software usually in the enterprise context that does discovery or management of these devices, which is called the mobile device management. For example, Microsoft Intune would be such a system. So there is no out-of-the-box connection to discover these things in JDisc Discovery, but nevertheless it's a very important device that is used every day in enterprise context, right? So you want to know about them. Now one way to do that is ask the corresponding system. So ask Microsoft Intune or other software that you use and just provide the information via an API that this system has, and then use a little script or a service, construct a JSON payload that describes this device, and then use the new Upload API to put this device into JDisc Discovery so that we have one place where we find all the information. Now let's look in detail how that works. On the right hand side you see the documentation again that's built into the integration API console of JDisc Discovery, which is handy if you want to see how exactly the payload needs to look like. On the left hand side you see a sample of that payload. So the import manager takes a device input and you have all the attributes that describe, in this case, an iPhone XR. And with the SIM card, the IMEI, IMSI, all that, these details. Right, so you send them via jQuery API and you get back a result, which in this case is successful, so there are no errors or warnings. At the bottom you see a link that there's a script available in Python in the usual GitHub repository where you can find some real-life sample code where you can see how that is done in code. Have a look at it, please. Now that was already a pretty interesting use case, and I hope you will tell us if you need something like that. But let's think about something else. Now suppose you've bought JDisc Discovery for your department because you know it's working well and anyhow it's cheaper than any other solutions that the central IT is using on the other side for discovering central applications and a central IT environment. So they might be using some of the big, large, let's say IT management solutions that have some discovery module attached to it. So something like the XHP, now Micro Focus Universal Discovery, or BMC Helix Discovery, or from ServiceNow Discovery. I'm not saying that any one of these is bad, but it's, let's say, you don't want to use that, you decided otherwise, so you are like the small department that does otherwise. And of course there is sometimes a need to get some information from the other environment, because you have applications that talk to them, so you want to have that in your object model as well. Now what do? Well, all these tools have some APIs. If you're lucky, them have some model and REST API, or RESTful API, and hopefully not something older. So there is usually a way to get information out of these tools as well. So you do that using a script or a service. You transform the data to the format that JDisc Discovery expects in nice plain JSON objects, and then you use the JDisc Discovery GraphQL API to upload it there. Problem solved. Now suppose you did buy JDisc Discovery in all your environments and you have multiple environments. So the enterprise IT, you have a cloud environment, you have different branch offices. And you know that usually what you do is you install a JDisc Discovery server in each of these environments and you do the local discovery. So no need to have complex cross-environment communication or credential mess up. Everyone does its, and so you have a lot of different databases that now contain your discovery data from JDisc. So what to do? Well, you don't want to buy one of these big CMDBs potentially. Maybe that's still a good idea, but well, taken, you don't want to do that. You still want a central database where all your discovered information is there in order to be able to run global reports or have some governance on top of that. Now what to do? Both of these JDisc Discovery servers have the GraphQL API, right? So what you can do is you write a script, a service, that does the queries on the one hand side and takes the data and uploads it on the other side. And you've created a sync service, right? Given a little bit of config so that the script knows where to query, so which URLs and which credentials, etc. That should be doable. So by the way, if you are interested in that use case specifically, that might be an interesting feature, wouldn't it be? We would like to hear from you if that is the case. So, especially last year and this year, JDisc Discovery sits there in the office and discovers all the servers, maybe the computers, the data center, etc. That's pretty nice. But what about the laptops that we borrowed, that we have at home? I mean, we're not going to the office, a lot of us. They're here in our home office, right? What do we do with those? And that printer over there, right? That I've borrowed from the office. What about these? We don't know anything about these. We really can't discover them. Or do you want to do discovery via VPN? That's not a pretty good idea, right? So there might be a way to use the new Upload API to do a local discovery here in the home office, collect the data using some script or local binary, and then send it to JDisc Discovery so that we can do all the usual reports and the usual governance and checking that we want to do. That's things like a very interesting up-to-date use case for the new Upload API. Well, we don't really want to stay theoretical here, but try out that in practical terms. So here you find a PowerShell script that we can use on Windows, but we could also have written a Python script for Linux or other platforms. And you see here that it collects information from the local machine using WMI in this case, creates a JSON object that corresponds to the device specification, and then uses the JDisc Discovery Upload API to put that into the Discovery database. And now we have up-to-date information about this device, maybe also the list of applications that are installed of it, the users that are logged on it, the devices connected to it, and we can do our usual checking, reporting and governance on that device as well. Problem solved again. Now you see a little feature, and there's a couple of very interesting use cases that we can do with that. If you are especially interested in one of these use cases, you have questions regarding the API or have some additional ideas, please don't hesitate to contact us and let us know about your ideas. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, then please give us a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe to the channel so that we know that you're interested, and then see you next time for more content of this type. Thanks, your Pete.